Welcome back to another episode of our NFL season preview. We've run through a lot of teams. Today we're going to work on the Detroit Lions, discuss everything like we've done in the other episodes, last season's additions, losses, their strengths, weaknesses, projections for the year, what their best and worst outcomes could look like, and get into detail with all those subjects. If you like what you're seeing, please hit that like button. Please hit that comment. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and hit that subscribe button too. We're going through all 32 NFL teams prior to kickoff, and we're going to get into detail with each one of them. Let's go get it with the Lions. So we'll start today looking at last season. I'll highlight them as I go so you know where I'm at within the discussion. So last season they were 3-13-1. They went 3-3 in their last six, so they kind of improved upon things at the end of the year after starting 0-10-1. They did get 3 wins out of the last six. Their average scoring margin through those first 10 games was minus 10.5, and then they improved. They were minus 4.5 over the last six, so a little bit of improvement throughout the end of the year. Continued to get better as the season went on. Rallied around Dan Campbell, who they bring back again this year. No changes in the coaching staff, so they continue to keep that there. Dan Campbell seems to be a player's coach, so a great fit for Detroit, it seems, for the future. So we'll look at their additions, and at first we'll do the draft. Let me put this in, draft and free agency. So we'll do the draft first. So with their second overall pick, they took Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. He went back and forth as him being the number one pick that would possibly go to the Jags. Jags ended up taking Trayvon Walker, the supreme athlete of the draft. The Lions last year, this was one of their weaknesses, their front four. They finished 29th in pressure percentage. They were 30th in sacks. But Aiden Hutchinson comes in. He's more of the high floor, lower ceiling player out of those top picks for sure. But he had a 94.5 PFF grade last year, so a solid pickup for them, keeping him in Detroit, or in Michigan, I should say. Then in the 12th pick, they traded up and got Jameson Williams. They have him lower on the depth chart, but he's going to be a starter, I'm sure, once he gets healthy. He could be the best wide receiver in the draft. I mean, definitely a steal, them getting him at 12, trading up to get him. Like I said, he's game-changing talent when he is healthy. He had 12 20-plus yard touchdowns last season, and that's more than any SEC player over the last 2 seasons. So like I said, game-changing talent when he is on the field. He tore his ACL in that championship game, unfortunately. But, I mean, hopefully he'll be ready to go whenever training camp starts. And whenever training camp starts, is he going to automatically be wide receiver 1? I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that. We'll see if he can come in and get that Jamar Chase type treatment, be the number 1 receiver, take this team to a higher spots that they've been over the last few years. Then with the 46th overall pick, they take Josh Pascal. They have him very low on this depth chart, which is rather surprising. I don't agree with this. He may be a better fit for Dan Campbell's system than what Aiden Hutchinson is. So they bring him in from Kentucky, another defensive end. He can line up at multiple positions, inside, outside, so that's good for them. He had the highest PFF grade out of all SEC DNs last year, a 90 even was his PFF grade. So solid talent coming out of the SEC, playing against many NFL-type players. They followed that up with drafting Kirby Joseph out of Illinois, the safety. He's probably going to get a lot of playing time, I do believe. I mean, if he's not starting, he's going to be contributing very, very, very early in the season. Again, he had a 90-plus PFF grade playing in Illinois last year. So, I mean, solid pickups all around for this team. Jameson Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, Zach Pascal, Kirby Joseph, all solid pickups with their first 4 picks. So now we're getting to free agency. With their free agency, they didn't lose too many players. We'll get into their losses in a second, but they did add and re-sign a lot of people. They bring back Josh Reynolds. They got him on a 2-year extension, so solid depth. Could probably be a little bit more depth once Jameson is healthy and playing. They re-signed Alex Anzalone. Up and down season last year. We'll discuss him more in a little bit, but he's back again. They signed DJ Chark to a 1-year deal. He's coming off of the ankle injury in Jacksonville. Had a down season last year. He was a 2019 Pro Bowler, a deep threat for this offense, even though Jared Goff doesn't have the big arm. He still is a deep threat for this offense. He has rare speed and is very physical as a wide receiver. So, I mean, this wide receiver room is definitely improved from what it was last year. Amon-Ra St. Brown's still there. He came on late in the second half of the season, putting up some of the best numbers in the league, especially amongst rookies for sure. They brought in Deshaun Elliott, the safety from Baltimore. He can contribute. He's a solid starter if he can remain healthy. Not top of the line, but he is average or above average for sure. They signed Devin Funchess, and they moved him. Do they even have him on here? Oh, yeah, they have him all the way over here. They moved him to tight end. He gave up on the wide receiver role. He's a bigger body anyway, so they moved him to the tight end. Maybe give him some depth, as though, man, they have a lot on this depth chart for sure to work behind T.J. Hockenson. They kept Tracy Walker, the full safety, and they also kept, Charles Harris, the DN. So two solid players to keep on the team going into this year. So brought in a good many people. They already had a young core that they're trying to build around, along with Dan Campbell. So let's get into their losses. The only real loss that they had was Trey Flowers. They let him go. They're saving $10 million this year. Nothing else of relevance as far as starters or contributors that they lost this offseason. So, I mean, they're bringing back the boys, trying to run it back again. So then you look at the team strengths. Let's see. To the strengths. All right, so as far as their strengths, you got Frank Ragnow back. He was injured last year. He's a top 5, maybe center in the league when healthy. I mean, he's a great player for sure. Still relatively young for this league. The O-line is solid for sure. Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, okay. Vaitai is pretty good, and then you got Penei Sewell, the second year, who's coming into his own into the league. So I mean, a solid O-line. Penei was ranked the 4th best offensive tackle under 25 per PFF. So like I said, solid pick last year. Receiving group, receivers as a whole, they're I mean, at minimum average, if not better, especially once Jameson Williams is back. Got Jameson Williams, could be the wide receiver 1. DJ Chark, if he could bounce back to what he was before the injury, before the debacle last year with Urban Meyer. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best rookie receivers last year. You add that with T.J. Hockenson, one of the top 5 potentially tight ends in the league. And then this running back room with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift coming out of the backfield. I mean, their receiving group, I mean, is very good. I mean, the only problem is you have Jared Goff throwing on the ball. But, I mean, this is a solid group for sure, and they're all young. So the future looks great in Detroit as far as the receivers go. We'll see what happens. The front 4, I spoke on them a little bit earlier. But the front 4 will be much improved from last year. They had a lot of issues getting to the quarterback. It was one of their weaknesses last year, but it could possibly be a strength this year. Got Michael Brockers. They bring back Charles Harris. They draft Aiden Hutchinson. Josh Pascal is probably going to get some playing time. I mean, they have depth, which a lot of teams don't. They have the Aquara brothers. They have Levi Onwuzurike. I mean, those 3 are solid depth on this D-line. So it's definitely a strength relative to what they had last year. Weaknesses, there are still some glaring weaknesses on this roster that's going to keep them from possibly making the playoffs or taking that next step over the next few seasons. So the first problem is the linebacker group. You got Alex Anzalone, who was up and down last year, maybe more down than up. Chris Board, nothing stands out here. The defense overall should be improved, but it was a weakness for sure all over last year. They were next to last in a points allowed per game, almost 28 per game. They were also next to last in red zone scoring. They were giving up a touchdown 70% of the time. And then they were also struggled against the pass. They were last in the pass, giving up 7.6 yards per pass. So they bring in Kirby Joseph. Jeff Okudah's back, healthy. Hopefully there from the beginning of the season, stays healthy the whole season. And the secondary can take a step forward, especially if they're getting pressure with the front 4, it'll help out the linebackers and the secondary for sure. But the glaring problem that everyone knows about is Jared Goff in the quarterback room. They stayed off quarterback this year, looking for 2023 quarterback, maybe even possibly bring in a free agent quarterback that could help out this team. But, I mean, Goff is the limiting factor on this offense. They were 24th in yards per pass attempt last year at 6.1. So, I mean, we know Jared Goff is a game manager at best, not going to take the next step with this team. So that's going to be the weakness that holds them back this year for sure, if anything's going to hold them back. So, all right, outlooks on both sides of the ball. I mean, we kind of discussed this already. The offense looks great everywhere, average or above average, except the quarterback. Jared Goff is going to be the limiting factor for what they can do this year. Defense, front four looks improved. Linebackers are still probably going to be the weakness of this defense. But you have Jeff Okudah coming back, hopefully healthy. Draft Kirby Joseph, bring in Deshaun Elliott. I mean, the defense should be improved overall. Okay, now we look at their projected wins, and we'll go through their schedule. So as of now, Vegas has them at 6.5 wins on the season as their projection. So I have their schedule down here. Let's get to their schedule. Discuss each week briefly and what we expect to happen. So week 1, they played the Eagles. Unfortunately, the Eagles with Jalen Hurts is possibly going to be the most improved player in the league. They brought in A.J. Brown to an offense that was starting to get going at the end of the season. So unfortunately, I see them taking a loss in week 1. Everyone's on the hype train for the Lions, and yes, I do believe that they're going to be improved, but let's not get crazy. Still going to have growing pains. Going to work their way through it though. Week 2, they play the Commanders. They play Carson Wentz. Do you trust Carson Wentz? I don't trust Carson Wentz. So they get the win in week 2. So 1-1. Week 3, they play the Vikings. The Vikings kind of have that same roster, but they're looking to take that next step with the new coach that they brought in. Going to try to unlock more with Kirk Cousins. And I think the Lions, though improved, are not to that level yet to where they can get the win in Minnesota. So 1-2. Week 4, they're at home against the Seahawks. The Seahawks could be the worst team in the league. And with that said, I mean, especially having Geno or Drew Lock at the quarterback position, I don't think they can carry them to a win against the Lions. So 2-2, looking good. Then, can they get above 500 going into week 5? They play the Patriots. Mac Jones, I don't know if it's a bunch of misdirection that they have going on as far as who's going to be the offensive coordinator, who's going to be calling the plays. But Mac Jones is not in a position to succeed. They brought in Devontae Parker, but I mean, his wide receivers are not the best. He's going into his second year with no continuity really as far as coaching goes on the offensive side of the ball. So it's going to be intriguing to see how that plays out. And that roster as a whole is not as great as it's been over the last few years. So I think the Lions get their first winning streak of the season. So they're 3-2 going into the bye. Lions fans are going crazy at this point. They got an early bye, which is good for a young team, resettle, regroup, and go into the second half of the season. Play the Cowboys coming out of the bye. I mean, the Cowboys regress, in my opinion, this year, especially the turnovers are the biggest thing that can change from year to year. And, I mean, with that said, I mean, I don't think they're going to have the turnover luck that they had last year. They had a lot of turnover luck, getting big turnovers with Trayvon Diggs. They lost the DN, went to Denver. So, I feel like Michael Parsons really going to have to step up, but I don't think the Lions can get the win here, even though the Cowboys do regress this year. So, week 8, they play the Dolphins. Too many weapons on the Dolphins team, regardless of what Tua does. Lions can't get the win there either. It's going to be an improving season, but they're still going to have their hiccups and their growing pains. Play the Packers, NFC title favorites, potentially, for the NFC, so another loss. They do get the Bears in week 10. Justin Fields, how many points is he even going to be able to score with this offense? I think the Lions can get the win here. So right now they are 4-5. I mean, much improvement from last year. They only had 3 wins. They already topped their total by week 10. Week 11 they play the Giants. The Giants and Lions could be what and what this year, but the Giants, there with their running back and quarterback, they're in a prove-it situation. They have to win this year, or they're gonna blow it up completely. I think the Giants get the win there. Thanksgiving they play the Bills. The Bills are Super Bowl favorites. I mean, there's no discussion here. They play the Jags in week 13. Jags and Lions may be both competing for that most improved team. And with that said, I mean, there's a lot of hype around the Jags too, but I think the Lions can get the win here. I mean, I think this kind of overhype based on, it was all Urban Meyer's fault, and I do believe there was a lot that had to do with Urban Meyer. But the Lions, I still feel that Dan Campbell can wheel this team to a win in certain situations where he has competition that's about the same as his own team. The Vikings, again, I don't think they can get the win against them. The Vikings are looking for a wild card berth. Lions are trying to build for the future. The Jets. Compare these teams, I would say they're about the same. Even the quarterback room, I feel like Zach Wilson may get a little better, but he's not going to be much better than Jared Goff. And if you give me the Lions, who are coming up, versus the Jets, who are supposed to be coming up, give me the Lions. Give me the win there. Follow that up with the Panthers. The Panthers' defense is okay, but their offense is going to be horrible. I don't care if it's Sam Darnold again or Matt Corral. I mean, I don't think either one of them is going to come in and be a game changer versus this Detroit team. It may be a 17-14 game, but I do think that the Lions will get the win here. Follow that up with the Bears. Justin Fields again. I mean, he's not going to do anything with this offense. Darnell Mooney's his wide receiver one. I don't expect a lot from Darnell Mooney, especially as a one. They have a ton of one-year prove-it contracts. So they have a lot of players trying to show that they can do something going into the future. So I don't think that the Bears can get the win. They end the season against the Packers. We discussed the Packers earlier. Unless the Packers are sitting all their players, it's probably going to be a loss for the Lions. So looking at this prediction, I have them going 8-9, which would have Detroit fans going crazy if their team finishes around 500 after a 3-13 season last year. So with each video, we look at the top players in each position. Who can be a top 5 player at that position? Who can be a top 10? I think the Lions have 2 players that could potentially be top 5 in their position. One being Frank Ragnow as a center. Discussed him earlier. Solid. He was just injured last year, so I feel like he can bounce back, be a top 5 center. And then T.J. Hockenson. T.J. Hockenson put up great numbers with Jared Goff. Imagine if they get more out of Jared Goff. I mean, if he could put up great numbers with Goff, imagine if he had another quarterback. So he could finish the season top 5, and I wouldn't be surprised. Top 10, DeAndre Swift maybe, going into his 3rd season. Can he take that step forward? Saw some improvement last year, but can he take that step into a top 10 running back role? Wouldn't surprise me. O-line's improved. See what can happen. And the only other one I see is Penei Sewell. He's already the 4th ranked offensive tackle under 25. So if he got to step into the top 10 of all offensive tackles, wouldn't be surprised. Most improved MVP candidates. MVP candidates, they don't have any on this team. Maybe in the future. Most improved, I feel like it's Jeff Okudah. I mean, he don't have much to improve on other than staying healthy. He had the core injury year 1, missed part of the season. Week 2, he comes back, tears his Achilles in week 1. I feel like he bounces back and shows why he was a first-round pick in 2020. So I feel like he's easily the candidate for most improved on this team. Best and worst outcomes for this team. I mean, their best outcome is that all their draft picks hit. Aiden Hutchinson is a cornerstone defensive end for this team for many years to come. Cornerstone piece for this franchise. Jameson Williams shows that he's wide receiver 1 once he comes back. They have this team looking great in every area except quarterback, and they're looking for a free agent or a drafted quarterback next year. So if they finish around 500, that would probably be the best outcome for this team. Getting ready for the future and what they can do build with the future with this roster, except the quarterback. Worst outcome, injuries plague this team again. The secondary isn't great. The linebacker, everything outside of the front 4 is bad, and they finish the season again with 5 or fewer wins, and they're a top 5 pick again. Drop-off candidate, kind of hit on it earlier, but I feel like Alex Anzalone is the drop-off candidate. He had his up and down last year, okay at times, not good, not what he was in New Orleans at one point. But I feel like Derek Barnes could come in and steal that starting position from Anzalone sometime this year. So then the most intriguing thing for me to end the episode, how far can this team go without a quarterback? If they get to 500, that would be spectacular. You would take that 10 out of 10 times if your team can be 500 with one of the bottom 10 quarterbacks in the league. You're looking forward to the future with a young team. You have so many players that are been in the league 5 years or less. You look at this depth chart. I mean, things are looking great if they can do great without a quarterback. And the other question or most intriguing thing is Jameson Williams and Aiden Hutchinson going to be the duo in the offense and defense that's going to carry this team into the future? With that said, that's my Lions recap and preview for the season. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do this year. I have them finishing 8-9. Please let me know if you agree, disagree what we can discuss more in other episodes, what you like, what you didn't like. But if you do like what you saw, please hit that like button, please comment, discuss it, and please hit that subscribe button. Getting a few more subscribers is making me want to put out better content each episode. I'm enjoying doing it. We're going to get through all of the lower seed teams and work our way to the better teams all the way up to kickoff. So until the next one, peace.